This conversation was recorded on the lands of the Jagera, Yugara and Ogurapal peoples. You're listening to Held, a series of slow, honest conversations with women about the things that shape us, the stories we carry, and what it means to be seen, heard and held. Ready?
As I'll ever be.
Excelente. Welcome to Held, Chelsea.
Thank you.
Who are you?
Can I pass? Who am I? I'm Chelsea. I am a woman, and over the years I've been a mother and a partner, and sister and a daughter, and all of those wonderful labels that people put on you, and I really, really hate. And then, as well as that, I have no idea. Probably that's my main problem in life at the moment, is that I don't know probably who I am. But I have lots of interests that make up me. But to actually give a derivative answer, I'm just Chelsea. It's everything else is secondary, I suppose. My interests are secondary.
Yeah.
Who I am to other people, my labels, they're all secondary to that.
Yeah.
So,
Is there a version of yourself that's showing up? It's in the process of showing up?
these are really hard. I want there to be. I felt that years ago, due to life circumstances, the version of me who I thought was going to be older, who I thought I'd be by now, was stopped, and then other life choices came in and you had to be someone else for other people. So I suppose that this version of me needs to be more about me and who I'm becoming. I don't know what version that is. It's because there's so many things that now make up who I am, so many interests, so many facets that, I don't know, I think I want to be better than what I am now, is probably where I'm heading.
Wow. And so you're just starting to see that version of yourself peeking ahead through?
Well, I think the last few years I've, tried to do the whole word of the year thing, and every year it was something along the lines of becoming, and I kind of felt that it was like, how many years does it take? Like, can I have a new word now?
Yeah.
Have I become yet? So I suppose that as the vision of me gets stronger, I'm less afraid to show it a bit more. Maybe that's more what it is. I'm not afraid to be quiet anymore. And, there are, I always say to, especially Olivia at the moment, she's trying to work out what she's doing with her life at 15, as they make you do. And I try to think back along my processes, and I'm like, I think I just collect pieces of paper, because these are just all the bits that make up me, but I don't know yet how they all fit. I don't know yet. I don't know what it's leading towards. I don't know what I want it to lead towards.
What do people often misunderstand about you?
I think a lot of people in the past have taken my, I would say, more empathetic and softer side as being weaker, or being able to overlook me. And much to, if anyone heard this who I am, will say I'm not quiet. I'm very quiet in fields where I'm unsure of myself. And so I have found in the past people will take that as a sign of weakness. Isn't the right word, and neither is stupidity, but it's kind of they don't know anything. I've found over the last, few years, especially working in the nursery, a lot of people that know the family, people will take the sign that I'm working there as that I had no other options, or, things like that. So it's not that people, personality-wise, I'm pretty much, this is me. I don't hide very much of it. It's very hard to hide a personality like mine.
Yeah.
So it is pretty much up front. I'm very loud and outspoken about things. But in the past, I think that's been a thing that people have thought about me.
So is what you're saying that people have thought you're out of your depth when you're quiet?
Yeah. Really, I'm just gathering information and calling them dickheads in my head. But
I feel you.
I have so many thought patterns, and can be so obnoxious sometimes. I'm also very afraid of opening my mouth in situations because I haven't got it all figured out yet in my brain. And so I feel sometimes if it just comes out, it will just go on the table and I'll be seen like a bigger fool because the filing cabinets aren't lined up yet. So I do choose to stay quiet in a lot of instances as well.
Yeah.
Because I am too afraid to be seen as not knowing.
Yeah, you and I have the simpatico there. I do like a tidy back of house.
Yeah.
Before I open the front doors.
Yeah, because I've struggled in the past with that. Spoken too soon.
Yeah. When did you realise the world saw you differently?
When, after I had Flynn, he became a mum for the first time, and suddenly my identity was mother, and I had to be a mumpreneur, or I had to be a working mother, or I had to be all of those types of things. And I didn't see myself like that. I didn't see myself as being that person. I was just Chelsea, who now had a child. I didn't, it was very hard to acknowledge all of those types of things. And it's not that they're not important, it's just that they're not labels that I need or want be put onto me. And then I will say, I still get blown away when people now, through nursery or through the postnatrix things, they'll say things to me, lovely positive things. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm like, oh, that's me. Or, someone recommended you, for this, this and this. They said you were lovely or something. And I'm like, really? That's so cool. But then as well as that, I suppose too, especially over the last few years, as I was talking to you before, those photos I see of myself, that's not who I see myself as, is how this is now looking out at the world. And so then I really struggle to come to terms with that, because it's more about how I see myself more than how others see me too. Because I'm, I look at a photo from 2 years ago who I'm like, I remember that girl. And I look at the photo from, on the weekend, and I'm like, who's that woman? She's not me.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's very hard for me now to come to those terms, more than, other people's views of me are more of a surprise, and usually their happiness, and if they think I'm an idiot, well, they probably don't really matter anyway. But it's how I view myself is what I really struggle with.
Yeah. There's no easy fix for that either. It's years of dedicated work.
Yeah.
That's why your 40s suck.
Yeah, that's it.
What does being a woman mean to you today? And has that changed over time?
I don't think at all it's ever changed my view of women and girls and females and everything like that. I think it's the ability to be, strong and soft all at once, to be able to hold everything together, and sometimes be crumbling on the inside, to be able to consistently put yourself out there every day. But it's also about having the knowledge that it is a cycle as well. I remember years ago doing a course on periods and things like that, and it seems so obvious to me after I did it, but no one had ever spoken to me about the fact of how much our personalities change with our hormones, and that enables you to do certain things. So whereas, a man is solid and stable, and that is beautiful when they are solid and stable for you because you really are doing this. But, it enables you to, in one, the first week you can do, softer things more, that type of stuff. Second week you can do these other ones, and then the third and the fourth. And we are so trained to live and think of and work as stability instead of playing up to our skills. Like they say, in one of the cycles you look better, you feel more sexy, you feel more vibrant. So that's the time that you should be out there doing all of your outside work. If you need to film anything, you need to take pictures, you need to be on stage, you always time it for those types of things. And then it's kind of like the very last week when you want to punch everyone in the face. That's when you tackle the really hard jobs because you're ready for them then. Because you don't want to tackle the hard jobs when you feel and look great. No one ever explained that's how women should work. And I think that is what's missed in society as well, is that's what makes a woman, is her ability to ebb and flow.
Yes.
Versus being sometimes stock stable 24/7, 7 days a week.
Yeah.
And I appreciate males that are like that because that's what I also need. And it's meant to be yin and yang.
Yeah, it is.
And so, yeah. And as much as there are stable women out there, you're usually stable for others. In your own mind, you might not be having a stable week, but you'll be stable for someone else. This is why a lot of women become, I'll say, entrepreneurs, because in their own sense, or they work for themselves, because they can then have that, last week where they shut themselves off from the world and they don't do sort of any big stuff. They might just do bookwork in that week or something because it works better.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with a CEO, and this is, I think, also where we've lived in such a, I hate to say it because I don't think it's just a man's world sometimes, because it's more about those ideals that it has to be Monday to Friday, 9 till 5. It's those ideals. There's nothing can be changed in it.
Yeah.
And I think if more women were taught that, like even now, Olivia goes, to an all-girls school, and they've had all of these talks, but not a single one of them has ever spoken about this.
What's a moment where you felt truly seen?
When I won the Perfect Potion, ran a competition years ago, and they had a new range out called Sacred Space, and the competition was you had to make your own Sacred Space essential oil blend. So choose what your Sacred Space was, and then make an essential oil blend based on that. It had to be to a certain recipe, so it had to have up to, it had to be able to be broken down into 10 drops ultimately. As many oils as you want, but ultimately 10 drops type thing. And I remember sort of going through the process. I was pregnant with Sebastian, and I had my favourite oils, and I know I wanted to use them. My Sacred Space was my library. It always made me feel safe and, cocooned, and I wanted something that, musty old world book smell, but at the same time, something that made you feel loved and grounded. And, you know, I remember I could not get it right. And finally, I was like, just send it in. You've got like 2 hours left before closing time. Just send this recipe in. And anyway, I won it. There was a Japanese winner and the Australian winner, and I was the Australian winner. And they produced this blend maybe for about 10 years or something like that.
Holy wow.
And the day that I actually was notified that I'd won it, I was actually in labour with Sebastian. So, but at the same, so when I went to the Perfect Potion store and received my prize, Sebastian was still very much a newborn type thing, and there's a picture of me with Sal and stuff like that. But talking to him about the essential oil blend, it was just like, wow, this is so cool that I can talk to this person about this, who means he's such a inspiration to me.
Yeah. And
he's seeing me. He's you know, saw what I could do. You know, even if it was only for a moment.
Yeah.
That probably. He's got such a personality that you would feel like that, I think, any time you spoke to him. But I think that time meant more to me because of the situation.
Have you ever felt invisible?
All the time. That was easy.
It tends to be an easy one for the ladies.
Yeah, thanks for that. That was awesome. Finally
got an easy one.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
I suppose I think always felt a bit invisible, which is why I end up being so loud and obnoxious.
Yeah, right on.
It's kind of one of those, I'll say, do everything you can so no one realises how scared you are or something like that. You know, it's always felt it. And I suppose even more so since having a business and then children and everything else, because your needs, it feels like your needs, your wants, you know, your dreams are always put on the back burner, so you actually become more and more invisible while the person who everyone needs you to be is more and more visible.
What have you carried for longer than you've had to?
Oh, grief. Definitely. You should never have to hold on to grief. It'd be really good if it could just go.
But we do, right?
Yeah. It's the best analogy I ever heard of it was, it's like a ball in a square room, and some days the ball bounces around like this and it never hardly ever hits the walls, and other days the ball is so big that it touches every single side, and it's like, you know, and it can go like this in an instant too. It'll come out of nowhere and just slam you down and take you out, and then you'll go for ages without even kind of contemplating it.
Wow, that is excellent.
Yeah, it was, I remember when my dad died, it was kind of like, I'm going to say a couple of months later or something came up, and I remember someone saying to me, like, oh, aren't you over that yet? And it was kind of like, it had to have a timeline, but I've noticed ever since that moment, it happens all the time. You have a breakup with someone and they'll go, oh, aren't you over that yet? Or, you know, and, you know, or something will happen, or like you have a fight, or aren't you over that yet? And it's like, well, why is this timeline? Because what you feel in that grief changes. That's why the ball goes like this. And, you know, 10 years down the track, you'll be doing something and you'll go, you know, like, I wish it could have been this way. And so grief will rear its ugly head in that moment.
Yeah.
Not because, you know, in a relationship you might grieve the person, you grieve what you could have had as well, not the actual person. And so, yeah, so I think grief is something that I've held on to, and it's dictated so many things in my life, but at the same time I don't know if I, you know, it's not like I can let go of it. You know, how do you let go? of certain things.
Yeah.
You just move on, maybe, I don't know. Because there's so many levels of grief. I remember when I was doing aromatic kinesiology, grief is one of the things that comes up. And it's kind of like, grief is so many different levels. We always associate grief sometimes with dying or something like that. But sometimes it's the grief of the life not led, or grief of the choices you made or didn't make. Or, there's so many levels and layers to grief that we automatically assume if someone's grieving, someone died. But it's not that. You can be grieving so many different layers of things.
Yeah. And I don't think other people should be determining how long our grief lasts just because they're uncomfortable.
Yeah, and I think as well as that, because sometimes they can move, their balls are different.
Yeah.
And their box is different, so it doesn't, they can move through it differently.
What have you learned to let go of, or are still learning to?
Visions of myself, of what I thought I was going to be, or who I was going to be, or what I was going to do, where I should be, what I should be doing. Learning to let go of them. Learning and failing very much about learning how to let go of people's opinions of me that don't even relate to me anymore, but they still vibrate around your head. They're really hard sometimes to let go of. But I think what the hardest one is, what could be, what I thought was going to be, is the hardest thing to let go of. So still learning to let go of that one.
Yeah. I think that's big for everyone. Yeah. Yeah. What kind of connection or support do you think women are missing right now?
Maybe the time to connect and support. Because I know the moment that I, spend time with my friends, it's automatic. The emotions, everything. And we could sit there and talk about, high school for 3 hours and laugh and giggle about all of those types of things. And then in the very next instance, it'll be like, oh, what are you doing now? And then you'll turn and it'll be, talking about work and, where they're going and where they're heading and what support they need or what they just recently went through. And I must admit, with my group of friends, we are scattered to the four winds. So it's really hard to, when you do talk, you don't have enough time sometimes to get down to the nitty-gritty. And even though you want to, be supported and loved by them and them the same, you can't. I've got friends that are going through so much stuff at the moment, and I literally looked at the calendar and went, okay, when can I get down to see them? And it was like, I don't know, I would literally have to take time off work, and then that causes a whole bunch of other stuff. And it's simple when you can just apply for holidays from the boss, but when you work for yourself, it's harder because there's guilt then involved in that, because everyone else has to step up to enable you to do something.
It's frivolous. It's look after your mental health.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah.
But even if you did work for someone else, if you said, I'm going to take a week off to go and, be with my girlfriends type thing, you would have to go, well, then that week off can't be, say, being spent with, what about my kids on school holidays? What if I need that for sick leave? What if I need that for this? That means I'm not spending it with my family, or I'm spending money to catch that flight here to be a week with them when there's all this other over here. Yeah. So it's very much, I think, the only support we're missing is just the time and the permission to do it.
Did anyone model for you what it means to live truthfully?
No.
So this is something you've had to learn for yourself?
Yeah. I have people that I look up to in the world out there, I like what the work that they do. I like the life that they lead. Whether they're living it truthfully, I suppose they are. You know, I unfortunately never got to meet my parents as an adult, because when Dad died, Mum's changed as well. So I never got to meet them as an adult to then be able to give an adult answer if they're living truthfully.
Yeah.
So it's really weird on that scenario. So, you know, and I didn't have, we didn't have, well, the family is big, we didn't have any connections with the family. So then I can't say as an adult that, you know, uncles or aunts or cousins or something like that was, you know, lived their life truthfully.
You're right on.
Mm.
What do you wish we spoke more openly about?
Motherhood and whatever cunt it is. I'm sorry, there's no other word for it. It's
I'm with
so
you.
hard. I didn't particularly want kids. I never was a person that went, I'm going to grow up and get married and have 10 kids or anything like that. There was no desire there for it. I wasn't surrounded by a large family, so basically the first baby that I held was my own. So it was that, you know, and I was very lucky in a sense that I was not surrounded by social media when I had Flynn. So I never knew how easy other people have it, or how, you know, good their kids are. But as each one got older, I would find out that people had babies that fell asleep and would sleep through the night, and that was weird. And they had, you know, like my little nephew type thing, he's like 4, and he'll go to someone else. He'll sleep at his grandparents' house. Whereas mine, I will never forget trying to go to the toilet once and having one at my feet, one on my lap, and the other one was like in the doorway screaming because they couldn't get to me when we were at a friend's house. And that, like, I could hear people going, like, it's okay, she just needs to go to the toilet, it's okay, she just needs to go to the toilet. They were attached. I couldn't go anywhere or do anything unless they were there. And so it was really hard. And I think Sebastian is probably, even out of my close group of friends, Sebastian is the oldest out of all of my girlfriend's kids. So I had 3 before they were even in the process of having them.
Wow.
So I never had anyone else to talk to about it or anything like that. And, you know, mothers groups weren't for me, and you know, I had great support with, like, my mum and my sister and that, but at the same time it was all very hard. And it was hard to be then the woman that I wanted to be. And where am I now? Who am I? No one talks about that loss, and I don't know whether there was a huge loss of self because I wasn't planning to be the mum. You know, if that was who you were from a young age, intrinsically you always knew you were going to be a mum, and so when you finally did become one, that was exactly who you were meant to be, and you were okay in all of that scenario. But I felt that I had lost me entirely, and how am I supposed to even find myself again when all I've got is this? And I suppose we, you know, that whole age-old thing of, you know, getting cranky at women who stay home and cranky at people who go to work, because they've got a kid, they should enjoy every moment of it. They should be at home enjoying every moment of it. And I couldn't think of anything worse. And I got into social trouble for that because I couldn't think of anything worse than that being my life.
Which doesn't mean you don't love your children.
No.
They're 2 separate things.
Yeah, and so my grandfather was actually one that kind of, you know, helped me see a lot of that. You know, pointed out, much to my mother's disgust, he probably was not that nice to her. who's definitely nice to me though, you know, how separate that is. And, you know, he would rouse on them, you know, in his grandfatherly voice about, just let your mother go to the toilet, you know, type thing. You know, you're allowed to be separate.
Yes.
So I think that's something we just don't talk about enough, in a sense, and supporting women. We've made them out to be super mums, in an effort to make them feel that they have to undertake everything themselves, and if they don't, then they're not the woman of the 1960s or 50s, and we forget that those women were running on fucking cocaine, so they could get everything done.
Yeah.
You know, so I think that whole support system there is completely lost. And then as well as that, women who don't have children, the support isn't offered to them because they also don't have to do everything. They don't have to be the wife, the house cleaner, you know, everything else, and go to work as well. We have very much lost the jointness in everything.
Tell me more about that, the jointness.
I feel that nothing is ever done jointly. I love this analogy nowadays of, especially in partnerships, but I think it works in friendships and everything, is that you're in it, and you know there's two people and they're 100%. But when one is feeling 30%, the other one will give 70%. And when they're both great, they'll both give 50%. You know, and that works for friendships too. When you know someone's having a rough time, you put in that extra effort.
Yeah.
And when you're single as well, it's the same, because when you're single, you still look to other people. When you're feeling blue, when you're feeling your 30%, you still go to someone else. So it's not just about romantic relationships or anything like that, but it works all the way through. And I think we talk about it a lot.
Yeah.
But we don't ever really do it.
Yeah.
You know, and again, it's about the permission and time to do it.
What truth are you learning to say out loud?
I think, while I so am loud and obnoxious, sometimes I don't actually know how to articulate my own feelings and where I'm at. And so, you know, in the most simplistic terms, I'm sad, that truth, or I'm not happy at the moment, or you hurt me, or, you know, those types of truths are very hard to say.
Yeah.
And so learning how to do it as well, instead of it coming out as verbal diarrhea with tears and like hatred and, you know, eye stabbing type thing as well, is also really hard.
Yes.
And that's I think I'm learning how to articulately say it, but quietly and softly, so it's heard. I think the part of that then, on saying all of that, is the hardest truth is then allowing someone else to take care of you, in a sense, in those moments. Yeah. Because you've always had to be the strong one, or, you know, cried in the shower or something like that.
Yeah.
Being truthful with a person about your emotions, feelings, where you are in life or whatever, but then allowing them to hold the space for you is also really hard too.
What do you stay quiet about, and why?
My feelings, because it's easier.
Enough said.
Can we just bypass all of them? Don't need to talk about that.
No. What do you know now that you wish you'd known earlier?
You're here for yourself, no one else. So make the decisions based on what you want, not what anyone else needs or wants.
Fuck yeah. What do you hope is held from this conversation?
That it's okay to step up and be seen. And basically back to the thing is that it's okay when you are truthful about things, that someone will hold space for you.
Yeah, right on. Good job, lady. Thank you
No worries.
so much
Thank you.
for being here.
It's my pleasure.
And all I've got to say is bye-bye.